Hare Krishna everyone, we are continuing to read The Science of Self-Realization, the book by His Divine Grace, Srila A.C. Bhakti-Vedanta Swami Prabhupada. Chapter 6, Finding Spiritual Solutions to Material Problems, and this section is entitled The Peace Formula. Introduction. Amid the anti-war protests of late 1966, Srila Prabhupada put out a mimeographed leaflet among the very first of his publications in America, from his small storefront temple on New York's 2nd Avenue. Srila Prabhupada's followers and sympathizers handed this leaflet out by the thousands on the streets of New York, and later in San Francisco, Montreal, and other cities. His peace formula was an entirely new approach to the anti-war question, and for thousands of Americans, it provided the perfect solution. Now, the great mistake of modern civilization is to encroach upon others' property as though it were one's own, and to thereby create an unnecessary disturbance of the laws of nature. These laws are very strong. No living entity can violate them. Only one who is Krishna conscious can easily overcome the stringency of the laws of nature and thus become happy and peaceful in the world. As a state is protected by the Department of Law and Order, so the state of universe, of which this earth is only an insignificant fragment, is protected by the laws of nature. This material nature is one of the different potencies of God, who is the ultimate proprietor of everything that be. This earth is, therefore, the property of God, but we, the living entities, especially the so-called civilized human beings, are claiming God's property as our own, under both an individual and collective false conception. If you want peace, you have to remove this false conception from your mind and from the world. This false claim of proprietorship by the human race on earth is partly or wholly the cause of all disturbances of peace on earth. A very important statement. Foolish and so-called civilized men are claiming proprietary rights on the property of God because they have now become godless. You cannot be happy and peaceful in a godless society. In the Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna says that He is the factual enjoyer of all activities of the living entities, that He is the Supreme Lord of all universes, and that He is the well-wishing friend of all beings. When the people of the world know this as the formula for peace, it is then and there that peace will prevail. Therefore, if you want peace at all, you will have to change your consciousness into Krishna consciousness, both individually and collectively, by the simple process of chanting the holy name of God. This is a standard and recognized process for achieving peace in the world. We therefore recommend that everyone become Krishna conscious by chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. This is practical, simple, and sublime. 480 years ago, this formula was introduced in India by Lord Sri Chaitanya, and now it is available in your country. Take to this simple process of chanting, as above mentioned, realize your factual position by reading the Bhagavad Gita as it is. Bhagavad Gita as it is. And re-establish your lost relationship with Krishna, God. Peace and prosperity will be the immediate worldwide result. Jai. The next section is called Spiritual Communism. Introduction. In 1971, during his historic visit to the Soviet Union, Srila Prabhupada was introduced to Professor Grigory Kotovsky, head of the India department at the USSR Academy of Sciences and chairman of the Indian Studies department at the University of Moscow. As they said informally in Dr. Kotovsky's office, the spiritual leader and communist scholar vigorously discussed topics of mutual concern, and Srila Prabhupada proposed a radical reformation within modern communism. Srila Prabhupada. The other day I was reading the paper, Moscow News. There was a communist congress and the president declared, "We are ready to take others' experience to improve." So I think the Vedic concept of socialism or communism will much improve the idea of communism. For example, in a socialistic state, the idea is that no one should starve. Everyone must have his food. Similarly, in the Vedic concept, a grihastha, householder life, it is recommended that a householder see that even a lizard or a snake living in his house should not starve. Even these lower creatures should be given food, and certainly all humans should. It is recommended that the grihastha, before taking his lunch, stand on the road and declare, "If anyone is still hungry, please come. Food is ready." If there is no response, then the proprietor of the household takes his lunch. Modern society takes the people as a whole as the proprietor of a certain state, but the Vedic conception is Ishavasyam idam sarvam. Everything is owned by Isha, the supreme controller. Tena tyaktena bunjitaha. You may enjoy what is allotted to you by him. Ma gridhah kasya svidhanam. But do not encroach upon others' property. This is the Ishopanishad Veda. The same idea is explained in the different Puranas. There are many good concepts in Vedic literature about communism. So I thought that these ideas should be distributed to your most thoughtful man. Therefore, I was anxious to speak. Professor Kotovsky. It is interesting that here in our country there is now great interest in the history of old thought. From this point of view, our institute translated into Russian and published many literary monuments of great Indian culture. You will be interested to discover that we published some of the Puranas and parts of the Ramayana. There are volumes in Russian of Mahabharata and also a second edition of Mahabharata translated in full. We have also published the full translation of the Manu Smriti with Sanskrit commentaries. Interest in these publications was so great that they sold out in a week. They are now completely out of stock. It was impossible to get them in the book market after a month. There is great interest among reading people here in Moscow and the USSR toward ancient Vedic culture. And from this point of view, we published many such books. Srila Prabhupada. Among these Puranas, the Srimad Bhagavatam is called the Mahapurana. Professor Kotovsky. Mahapurana. Srila Prabhupada. Yes, we have translated the full text. First, we present the original Sanskrit text, its transliteration, the English equivalent for each word, then the translation, and then a purport, or explanation of the verse. In this way, there are 18,000 verses in Srimad Bhagavatam. We are translating everything literally, you can see. Each and every verse is being done like that for the whole Bhagavata Purana. The opinion of the Acharyas, the great saintly sages, who are the preachers of the Bhagavata philosophy, is Nigamakalpataror Galitam Phalam. This is the ripened fruit of the Vedic desire tree. Srimad Bhagavatam 1.1.3. It is accepted by all the Indian scholars, and Lord Chaitanya especially preached this Bhagavatam. So we have the complete Bhagavatam in its English translation. If you want to see it, I can show you. Professor Kotovsky. It seems to me that in the Moscow and Leningrad libraries we have nearly all the major texts of ancient Indian culture, beginning from the Vedas, the original texts in Sanskrit. For instance, in the Leningrad branch of our institute, there are 6 or 8 editions of Manu Smriti. This institute was founded in Imperial Russia in Leningrad. So in Leningrad, we now have a branch of our institute dealing primarily with the history of Asiatic culture. You will find here an account of what is being translated and what studies are being done on the history of Indian religion and also the state of Indian religion, Hinduism, in Hindu India today. Srila Prabhupada. Hinduism is a very complex topic. Professor Kotovsky. Oh yes, they laugh. Really, to my understanding, it is not a religion from the European point of view. It is a way of life, religion, philosophy, a way of life, whatever you want. Srila Prabhupada. This word Hindu is not a Sanskrit word. It was given by the Mohammedans. You know that there is a river, Indus, which in Sanskrit is called Sindhu. The Mohammedans pronounce S as H. Instead of Sindhu, they made it Hindu. So Hindu is a term that is not found in the Sanskrit dictionary, but it has come into use. But the real cultural institution is called Varnashrama. There are 4 Varnas, social divisions, Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra, and 4 ashramas, spiritual divisions, Brahmacharya, Grihastha, Vanaprastha, and Sannyas. According to the Vedic concept of life, unless people take to the system or institution of 4 Varnas and 4 ashramas, actually they do not become civilized human beings. one has to take to this process of 4 divisions of social orders and 4 divisions of spiritual orders. That is called Varnashrama. India's culture is based on this age-old Vedic system. Professor Kotovsky. Varnashrama. Srila Prabhupada. Varnashrama. And in the Bhagavad Gita, perhaps you have read the Bhagavad Gita. Professor Kotovsky. Yes. Srila Prabhupada. There, in the Bhagavad Gita 4.13 is the statement, Chaturvarnyam maya shrishtam. This system was created by Vishnu, God. So since Varnashrama is a creation of the Supreme, it cannot be changed. It is prevalent everywhere. It is like the sun. The sun is a creation of the Supreme. The sunshine is there in America, in Russia, in India, everywhere. Similarly, this Varnashrama system is prevalent everywhere in some form or another. Take, for example, the Brahmanas, the most intelligent class of men. They are the brains of the society. The Kshatriyas are the administrative class. Then the Vaishyas are the productive class, and the Shudras are the worker class. These 4 classes of men are prevalent everywhere under different names. Because it is created by the original creator, so it is prevalent everywhere. Varnashrama Dharma. Professor Kotovsky. It is interesting that, in the opinion of some European and old Russian scholars, this Varnashrama system is a later creation. And if you would read the old texts of Vedic literature, you would find a much more simple and agrarian society. It is the opinion of these scholars that the Varnashrama system was introduced in Indian society in the late age of the Vedic era, but not from the beginning. And if you would analyze the old texts, you would find that in the old classical India it was not so prevalent. Srila Prabhupada. As far as we are concerned, it is mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita. Chaturvarnyam maya srishtam, Bhagavad Gita 4.13. The Bhagavad Gita was spoken 5,000 years ago, and in the Bhagavad Gita it is said, this system of the Bhagavad Gita was spoken by me to the Sun God. So if you take an estimation of that period, it comes to 40 million years ago. Can the European scholars trace back history 5,000 years? Can they go back 40 million years? We have evidence that this Varnashrama system has been current at least 5,000 years. The Varnashrama system is also mentioned in the Vishnu Purana 3.8.9. Varnashrama charavata purushena parah puman. That is stated in the Vishnu Purana. Varnashrama dharma is not a phenomenon of a historical period calculated in the modern age. It is natural. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, the comparison is given that, just as in the body, there are 4 divisions, the brain division, the arms division, the belly division, and the leg division, so by nature's way, these 4 divisions are existing in the social body. There exists a class of men who are considered the brain, a class of men who are considered the arms of the state, a class of men who are called the productive class, and so on. There is no need of tracing history. It is naturally existing from the day of creation. Jai, we're going to stop here for today. Thank you so much for tuning in. The link to this book is in the description. Check out our website shravanamdiaries.com, and we shall see you next time. Hare Krishna.